Good morning, friends. So, still 2 more days, and the pages of this World Congress will be written in the Akasha Chronicles for good. And we probably should admit that up till now, we have been, again, terribly spoiled with very fine speakers, 2 book launches, and the premiere of a full-fledged Theosophical documentary. Isn't that nice? And then that is not all, because there's still more to come. And it is actually my honor and very great pleasure to introduce to you now Elif Kamisli. And she said, don't worry about the pronunciation of my name. It's actually in Turkish Kamisli, I believe, yes. But of course, we in Belgium have the habit of pronouncing everything that is written there. So Elif, which I had the pleasure of getting to know in Adyar last time I visited it, is born in Turkey. She's an exhibition maker and a writer based in Istanbul, Turkey. She studied political science, cultural studies, and psychoanalysis in Istanbul and in Rome. She has been the exhibition manager of the Istanbul Biennale since 2014. And currently she supervises an art conservation and restoration project for the Theosophical Society in Adyar, of which we will hear a little bit more in an instant. She has published a number of essays, amongst which Sunday Posts, notebooks published by the Neon Foundation, and Portals, an exhibition which joined an exhibition or which accompanied an exhibition in 2021. She also co-authored a book by the title Best Wishes with the artist Volkan Aslan in 2020. And she edited Incy Evincer's artist book Co-Action Device, a Study. She's also a member of curatorial teams for a number of exhibitions, amongst which a number of exhibitions in Italy, like the Colori exhibition in GAM in Turin and in the Castello di Rivoli in 2017, and a number of other exhibitions as well. She regularly contributes to Sanat Dünyamis, a leading art magazine in Turkey, and her essays embrace a personal narrative connecting daily life with history and different artistic practices. Through her work in various formats, Elif explores the connection between spirituality and art. And I should almost say, of course, Elif is a member of the Theosophical Society. So this is quite a curriculum, but the most important element has not yet been put forward, because Elif is also a young mother, and she brought her family to this World Congress, her husband and her daughter. And so all the experience that we mentioned in the professional domain of art, we can add that of a young mother with an upgrowing child, another most important way of caring for the future. I gladly hand over now to Elif, and if time permits, she will conclude with a Q&A session. Please welcome Elif Kamisli.
Thanks a lot, Sabine. So, good morning. Thank you for attending this morning's talk. And firstly, I should say that I'm really grateful for this opportunity and the invitation. The 3 past days have been wonderful, filled with inspiring ideas, beautiful exchanges, and references to art. So I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to all the speakers and everyone who made this gathering possible, including Catalina and Shikar. We really missed you here. Last night, Tarhi's film provided an introduction to the society's profound connection with the arts. She captured how the movement has inspired creativity on an international scale. Today, I would like to share more about the art project that began as the international headquarters in Adyar 2023. I will structure my presentation in 3 sections. This project, focusing on the preservation of Adyar's artistic heritage and the revival of art within the society, was initiated by Erika Georgiades, President of the Greek section and Director of the School of the Wisdom. Our international President, Tim Boyd, has offered his full support and encouragement from the beginning. Over the past 2 years, the Adyar Art Project has made great progress, and this was thanks to the strong engagement of the teams in Adyar. I'm grateful to everyone who shared this path with us. Now, first, I will walk you through our work in Adyar, what we aimed for, what we accomplished, so those who haven't had a chance to visit the headquarters can get a clear picture of the process. Then, I will take you through a bit of history, looking at how art played a role in the theosophical context and influenced new artistic movements in both the West and India. And finally, I will share with you some news and our intentions for the future. So now our next slide will probably come. Our international headquarters holds a significant collection of approximately 100 paintings, 40 miniatures, 4,000 glass slides, and 700 objects gathered between the late 19th and mid-20th century. Our art project aimed to restore physical items that were in poor condition and to revive a vibrant past that had remained dormant for decades. Our immediate focus was the conservation and restoration of paintings that had been exposed to challenging environmental conditions. For those who haven't visited, Adyar is located in the southeast of India, and the climate there is hot and very humid, and one side of the campus borders both the river and the ocean. As a first step, we formed a collaboration with Art Studio from New Delhi, a team of experts in art conservation and restoration. Considering the artistic history of the campus, we believe that establishing a studio for their work in Adyar would be meaningful. It would also align with our intention to reawaken this heritage while connecting it to the present. For this reason, a 300 square meter area in the headquarters building was cleaned, refurnished, sanitized, and repurposed to meet the needs of each step in the conservation process. We began monitoring climate conditions in these areas and used ceiling fans, an AC unit, and a dehumidifier to help control temperature and humidity. A security system was also installed in the rooms used for restoration and storage. We set up a workflow between the spaces, so a room for initial cleaning, then a quarantine room, followed by the conservation lab, and finally the storage area. A photography studio was also established, and the team received training in digital documentation. After gathering the necessary tools from Italy and India, the TS Adyar Conservation Laboratory began its operations in September 2023, and 2 members of Art Studio moved to Adyar. I'm really happy to share that after 2 years of intense work, the first phase of our project is coming to an end. During this time, we cleaned dirt and fungus, assessed conditions, and photographed 200 artworks and craft objects. You can see different techniques used during these assessments, fragments from the process, and before and after images of some of the works in the following slides. We restored 100 paintings and the historical frames, replaced the regular glass in 24 of them with high-quality German museum glass, and our next task is doing the same for Nicolas Roerich's eminent work, The Messenger, so please send your good vibrations towards Adyar. And several restored works were also framed during this process. So here you see the team. This is like a different technique where you can see the touch that were done before or the damages and cracks on the paintings. A portrait of Annie Besant by Florence Ada Fuller. The colors here are not really visible, but before and after in real life makes a big change. Another portrait by Florence Ada Fuller, again, before the work was totally yellow, and now it has a different life, different color, and it was exhibited in 2023. This was a very challenging work because the canvas was glued on woodboard, so it created cracks you can see on the left image. It took almost a year, but now it has a new life. Jamini Roy is a very important representative of Bengal Art School, which I will talk later, and this is his signature image, Rural Bengali Woman. Abdur Rahman Chaktai was also from the same school, and he was inspired by Japanese scholars because during that time it was really cosmopolitan and Japanese scholars were teaching at Shantinikitan, so he was using this wash technique. This was a wonderful surprise. When we started to work on the painting on the left, we uncovered another work actually on the back side. And unfortunately, we couldn't identify the artist, but a scholar from India said that it's probably from Madras School. But it's a beautiful colorist work, and it was exhibited in our last show in December. As I mentioned, we also restored historical frames, so the ones who are coming to convention in December will see all of them on display. So the Magic Lantern glass slide cabinets, 4000, underwent an emergency cleaning to prevent further termite damage, and it followed by counting a preliminary classification of the slides. The miniature collection was cleaned, and initial research on their genres began. 4 of them were framed and displayed, while the others are now safely stored. In our first year, we also created a climate-controlled storage space with a museum-standard hanging system and appropriate security measures, where restored paintings were carefully transported. Archival boxes are used for storing unframed paperworks. Throughout this process, we built a strong support network for the project, connecting with art historians, framers, chemical and stationery suppliers, storage providers, and art handlers in Chennai, Bangalore, New Delhi, and Kolkata. From the beginning, we believed our work should involve community engagements. So we organized open studios on Friday afternoons, where we welcomed visitors and explained the restoration process in detail. Through these moments, we both raised awareness for artistic heritage and had meaningful conversations about artistic creation, symbols, and important figures. Meanwhile, as part of the art project, we gave talks about our work and organized 2 exhibitions. The first one was held during the 148th International Convention in December 2023. It brought together 8 oil paintings by Florence Ada Fuller depicting key figures from the society. Fuller, a distinguished artist from Australia, joined the society in Perth in 1905. After Eni Besant's visit to her studio, she traveled to Adyar and stayed on the campus between 1909 and 11. The works on display were produced during her stay at the international headquarters. The second exhibition took place during the 149th International Convention in 2024. Titled The Divine Hidden in Daily Life, it featured 16 works from our collection, dating from the late 18th to mid-20th century. These pieces reflected a unique style developed by modern Indian artists, revealing their search for the origins and their belief in the beauty of everyday life as a reflection of the divine in each being. This year, we also began updating our inventory, and we aim to start adopting a collection management system used by leading art institutions by 2026. In the coming months, major renovations will take place in the headquarters building, which houses the Conservation Lab and the Blavatsky Museum of Arts. We are currently exploring various tools and methods to better control the climate inside the museum, so we can preserve our collections in the best possible way and ensure they are passed on to future generations. Before I move to the next part, I want to thank a few people. Anupama, founder of Arc Studio, and her team, Kriyam, Vivek, Brijesh, Jitender, Shupangar, Parvinder, Mahima, and Teha, who work with us in Adyar over the past 2 years. Our team in Adyar, Arva and Sukesh. Our core project team, Bernd, Erika, Jaikumar, Maria, Nancy, and Shikar, and all others who support our work in different levels, Gita Jaikumar, Jeshri, Elango, Veena, Vijaya, and Mrs. Sudha, and our volunteers, Gita and Marike. The maintenance team, Vincent and Shankar. Our new storage hanging system, the museum glass replacement, and the dehumidifier machines for the museum were generously supported by the Theosophical Society in New Zealand. We are grateful for their belief in our work. With this opportunity, I also recall with gratitude all members who once worked in the archives and the museum. And certainly none of this would be possible without our president's support. Looking back, I truly feel that this work was achievable thanks to a shared commitment and trust in something meaningful. What once seemed impossible became real as our energies unified in Adyar. After our practical work, now we are moving toward the history. In this section, we will see images of key publications, members of the society, and leading thinkers of the time, and a small selection of artists who nourished the birth of a new art movement in India. I believe it's important to look at them and remember their time, because it shows us that what we do today is a part of a much longer and richer history. Art has always been a vital part of the society, going back to its earliest years. From the beginning, it was seen as a powerful way to express spiritual truths, foster reflection, and bring people into a sense of unity. In 1879, when HPB founded the Theosophist Journal, she wrote that it was devoted to art, alongside philosophy, literature, and occultism, clearly showing that art held a central place in the movement. During the last convention, we had the chance to visit an exhibition at Surendra Narayan Archive, curated by Gita Jaikumar and Jeshri Kannan. It was dedicated to HPB's artistic creations. Through the exhibited items and text, we admired her artistic strength, seen in various forms like drawing, writing, and of course, music. Art was a way to communicate ideas that couldn't always be expressed in words. Sometimes it made the invisible visible, sometimes it helped us to connect with our higher selves, and sometimes it offered a glimpse of the divine that lives in all of us. This kind of understanding could only come through intuition. In this context, in 1896, Eni Besant published an essay on thought forms in the Lucifer Journal. Later, in 1905, the book Thought Forms was published, co-authored by Besant and Leadbeater. As we heard Dr. Marco Passi mention in yesterday's film, the book was a clairvoyant study involving different artists and explored the nature of thought. It stated that the production of all thought forms was based on three main principles. The quality of thought determines color, the nature of thought determines form, and the definiteness of thought determines clearness of the outline. While Besson and Leadbeater were clairvoyantly observing thought forms, artists were depicting them in watercolor, following their indications. The book presented over 50 illustrations showing thought forms as appeared in different emotions, experiences, and in response to music. These abstract shapes and colors were expressions of the unseen. This publication became one of the inspirations behind abstract art, one of the most important movements in 20th century Western art. Artists such as Hilma af Klint, Kandinsky, Mondrian, Malevich, and Paul Klee were all strongly influenced by theosophical ideas. Here I want to open a parenthesis and talk about Lauren Harris, a well-known Canadian artist who connected deeply with Theosophy. He was a founding member of the Group of Seven, a collective of Canadian landscape painters formed in 1920, which lasted until 1933. Members of the group often traveled together across Canada. These excursions helped them experience the raw beauty of Canadian wilderness and reflected it in their work. For them, landscape was not a subject, but a spiritual experience, a way to connect with something greater. Emily Carr, although not an official member, was closely associated with the group, especially with Lauren Harris. She painted scenes of the West Coast wilderness and indigenous culture. There's a beautiful exhibition of her at the Vancouver Art Gallery currently. Frederick Warley, another member of the group, moved to Vancouver in 1926 and painted the mountains of British Columbia. He was also the cousin of John Warley Jr., one of the artists who contributed to thought forms. Between 1918 and 30, Harris was painting landscapes while writing about his mystical views on life, art, and nationalism. In March 1924, he officially joined the Toronto branch of the Theosophical Society, but he had already been in contact with Theosophy since 1909. During the 1920s and 30s, he gave lectures and radio talks on Theosophy and art and published articles in the Canadian Theosophist. In 1927, he also helped to organize the first abstract art exhibition in Toronto, featuring Kandinsky, Mondrian, and others. He described beauty as a pervasive power in art and in life, the very spirit of the plane of being we Theosophists call Buddhi. In 1938, Harris co-founded the Transcendental Painting Group in New Mexico. Their aim was to take painting beyond the physical world and explore idealistic and spiritual realms through color, space, and form. The group ended in 1945, but Harris had already moved to Vancouver in 1940, where he lived for the next 3 decades until his death. His abstract paintings from 1930s were greatly influenced by thought forms, which provided many of their symbols and forms. Now, after this note on theosophical ideas' global influence in the arts, I would like to bring us back to Adyar in the early 20th century. Florence Adafuller, who was trained in portrait and landscape, took up a residency at the international headquarters in 1909. Her house was located behind the Adyar Theatre, across the headquarters building. She became a part of the cosmopolitan community here and painted portraits and miniatures. As I mentioned earlier, the first exhibition of the art project included a selection of her works. In 1912 12, the Society's General Report mentioned the start of a museum, saying, "Our small collection of curious ethnographica, etc., forming a nucleus for a future museum." Around the same time, the headquarters also began receiving commissions and donations. This marked the beginning of what later became the Blavatsky Museum of Arts. The artistic life in Adyar grew through collaborations with the Madras School of Arts. Artists from the school created decorative works for the headquarters building, including the sculptures of HPB and Colonel Olcott. Later, the bust of Annie Besant was made by D.P. Roy Chaudhry, who became principal of the school and served there for nearly 3 decades, from 1929. In 1915, the Irish poet James H. Cousins came to Adyar with the invitation of Annie Besant. That same year, he founded the Arts League at Olcott Bungalow. Its mission was to uphold a spiritual ideal in all arts, crafts, and industries, to insist upon beauty as an essential factor in education and a necessity in the lives of the people, and to work in a spirit of artistic service, mutual tolerance, sympathy, and respect. After the inauguration, C. Narajadasa wrote about it in New India, saying, "To us, a concert or a picture gallery or the reading of poems has become like a meditation where we commune with the one spirit of life." The Arts League held monthly programs that brought together Western and Eastern art through performances and exhibitions. A lively cultural environment at the international headquarters created a space for the cross-pollination of artistic traditions from different origins. Later, Cousins traveled to Calcutta to visit an exhibition organized by the Indian Society of Oriental Art, founded by Tagore brothers in 1907. He was deeply impressed and shared his thoughts with Annie Besant, who agreed to sponsor the exhibition's travel. As a result, in 1916, the first modern Indian art exhibition in South India was held in Adyar. This was the first time Cousins encountered modern Indian art, and he became a strong supporter and promoter of it in the years that followed, both globally and locally. Over time, Cousins developed a close friendship with Rabindranath Tagore, who won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1913. Tagore was also the founder of Shantiniketan, an art school in rural Calcutta, which introduced a new educational model free from the colonial perspective. Dr. Shirshendu Majumdar's book, based on the letter exchanges between Tagore and Cousins, highlights their shared views on education, their connection to rural life, and their mutual support in promoting a movement that celebrated the richness of Indian culture. Tagore also visited Adyar and stayed on our campus in 1919, 1922, and 1934. Although Cousins was based in India, he traveled widely, from Europe to Asia to Americas, and often carrying a suitcase full of paintings. He organized small exhibitions and gave lectures on modern Indian art, helping to promote it around the world. The support that both Cousins and Besant gave to modern Indian art was closely connected to the Indian independence movement. The Bengal School of Art, which grew in Shantiniketan, played an important role in the cultural revival, and the Home Rule movement, initiated by Annie Besant, was a key part of this struggle. In 1920-22, Cousins, together with Krishnamurti, Jnarajadasa, Annie Besant, and others, founded Brahmavidya Ashram in Adyar, offering courses in mysticism, literature, drama, philosophy, and art. After nearly 200 lectures, it became inactive. Later, in 1950, C. Jnarajadasa established the School of the Wisdom in its place. As the current director of the school, Erika Georgiades mentioned in her lecture at the 148th International Convention, the curriculum encouraged intuition, a key element in both artistic creation and spiritual growth. During those times, a fellowship in arts and crafts was created to encourage members to explore art through theosophical values. And national selections across Europe also reported exhibitions, lectures, and fellowships in their annual records. A key moment was in 1925 when the Russian painter and theosophist Nicholas Roerich visited Adyar. He was welcomed by cousins and brought a painting as a gift. While presenting it, he said, "In this home of light, let me present this picture, The Messenger, dedicated to Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, as the nucleus of a future Blavatsky Museum, whose motto shall be, 'Beauty is the garment of truth.'" We can also understand Annie Besant's views on art from her Kamala lectures given at Calcutta University in 1925. There she says, "Art is an attempt to bring down, within the vision of ordinary mortals, some of the divine beauty of which the artist catches glimpses. The artist strives to translate this into colors, sounds, forms, words, by creating pictures, melodies, sculptures, poems, and other literature." Another development in Adyar was the founding of the International Academy of the Arts in 1936. Rukmini Devi, the Academy's president, envisioned not only training in dance and theater, but wanted to stimulate the spirit of art in every department of life. And she said, "Beauty is the medium of culture, and culture is the only background that will cause humanity to become greater and nobler. Hence, the Academy is dedicated to beauty. And as beauty is the medium through which the divine expresses himself, its work will be an invaluable asset to the Theosophical Society in its great mission." Later renamed as Kalakshetra, meaning Holy Place of Arts, the Academy moved from the international headquarters in 1962. It remained as a pioneer cultural center known for its holistic art education and the revival of classical Indian dance traditions. Two others who were instrumental in the Society's artistic activities at a later time were Venkatachala, an art critic, and Fred Harvey, a collector. They shared an apartment at the Bangalore Lodge for 20 years, where they supported Indian artists through their writings, collecting, and exhibitions. Venkatachalam was also a well-known public figure, recognized for his contributions to the development of modern Indian art. He was a member of the government of Madras Art Purchase Committee and took part in 1949, a very important conference shaping cultural policy after independence. In the following years, George Arundale, C.G. Narajadasa, and Rukmini Devi continued to emphasize the role of art and beauty in theosophical life. In the end, Adyar, with its cosmopolitan spirit, became a safe haven for nurturing ideas, creating unity, and allowing diverse artistic forms to flourish during the first half of the 20th century. Art has remained as the evidence of an ever-extending energy. After taking you through the history, I want to conclude my talk with our vision for the future. The same energy that once gave birth to the Theosophical Society and made it one of the most influential movements of the last century inspires our work today. Because of this, the strong connection between theosophy and art has begun to grow again. The first step was to recognize the legacy of those who came before us and to bring back something that had been quiet for many years. True art is a powerful bridge to reach our higher selves. It encourages understanding through intuition and contemplation. It speaks of timelessness. I see museums visited by millions each year as portals that open onto different planes of consciousness. Imagine yourself sitting in front of a painting or a sculpture, not just an object, but a crystallized vibration, a form of spiritual energy that transcends time and space. The beauty of art may be one of the few things that can support us in the times that we are living through. As Tagore said, the touch of beauty heals our hearts. especially today in a moment marked by massive destruction. There is a growing interest in spiritual art. Hilma af Klint's exhibition at the Guggenheim in 2019 played a significant role in this renewed attention. It attracted more than 600,000 visitors and became the highest attended exhibition in the museum's history. And major European museums have begun embracing artists who were once considered as outsiders. For artists today who focus on spiritual inquiry in their work, the Society's publications are still valuable resources. The Adyar campus, with its collections and archives, also provides a rich and protected place for inspiration and study. In this context, we see Adyar as a space that supports artists exploring spiritual themes and universal wisdom in their work, through residencies, exhibitions, and shared discussions. For this purpose, I'm really delighted to share that the art residency will be relaunched this fall after more than a century. Kristen Ödlund and, thank you, Fredrik Söderberg, two leading artists from Sweden, will be in residence in Adyar from October to January. They will live and work on campus, and the artworks they create during their stay will be presented at the 150th International Convention. Kristin, whom you also saw yesterday at Terhi's film, is both a painter and electroacoustic musician. Her practice spans art, metaphysics, and science, with a particular focus on plant communication and theosophy. Anubescent and thought forms have been an immense inspiration for her since the early days of her career. She uses synesthesia as a methodology in her works, so she can hear the tonal vibrations of an image, and she can visualize sound as color and form. We are truly happy to offer her the opportunity to tune her senses to Adyar, which is considered the master's home. Frederick's watercolor drawings explore themes of religion and early occultism, and their influence on popular culture and politics from the 1960s to the present. The campus, hosting temples from different religions, will be a fertile ground for his new body of work. During their time, Kristin and Frederick will conduct research in our archives and engage deeply with Adyar's vibrant cultural landscape. Kalakshetra, Rukmini Devi School, with a special emphasis on music, will be an important resource. Additionally, they plan to explore Auroville in relation to music studies. In November, they will lead a workshop at the School of the Wisdom, tracing the histories of synesthesia and the alchemical principle of color. Participants will be encouraged to attune to the natural energies of the site, especially those surrounding the great banyan tree, and to express their experiences through watercolor. With the growing interest in spiritual art, the TS Art Project is dedicated to reopen the sanctuary that supported artists over a century ago at the international headquarters. Its aim is to make Adyar's rich, but both tangible and intangible resources available to artists and scholars worldwide. Adyar, with its calm and peaceful atmosphere, will continue to be a place of unity. It will offer fertile ground for learning from one another. Our art project is an effort to keep the link unbroken and to build a foundation for weaving the future together. Thank you. If you have any questions, and I think we have like 10-15 minutes. The microphone is coming.
Incredible presentation. I'm not that good I'm not that smart as far as art is concerned, but I am interested. What are you or have you been doing regarding some of our really ancient artifacts like the palm leaves and all of that? What are you all doing on that?
Okay, Mike is back. That part is under the consideration of the archives. Our first focus was the paintings, and the fine artworks. All the documentation and the pamphlets are taken really good care by the archives department. But they are in very, very good hands.
Thank you.
You're back. So, any other questions, curiosities? How many people are coming to Adyar in December? Great, maybe we will see more. So we will have an new presentation of the museum. So Blavatsky Museum of Arts is changing the display. So it will be a new look to all of you. And we will have a temporary exhibition of Christine and Frederick's works. They will be also there if you would like to meet them and learn more about their experience in Adyar. I believe that's all. Thank you very much for your time.
Hold on, there's another question right here.
There is one more question.
Thank you so much. Hold on a second. Okay. Thank you so much for your talk. As an artist who does link their spiritual journey, I'm a sculptor, are there spaces for volunteers to come and volunteer in projects that you're committed to over the next year or so?
Why not? This sounds like a wonderful suggestion. Currently, the places at the headquarters building, which we allocated to conservation works, since that is completed, will be transformed into an art studio. Very basic. So we will not have, it will be a very basic but very beautiful and peaceful artist studio. And we hope that it will have a continuous life. So yes, please, you can always reach out to me. We will meet after the talk.
That's good, because as somebody inquiring into spirituality and art, it seems to be a bit of a lonely journey.
Absolutely. I hope one day all of you will come to Adyar. It's wonderful place, and it really elevates all the experiences that you can have.
I'll be in contact.
Perfect. So I believe now it's coffee time.
Okay. Thank you, Elif. Oh, we have one more?
One more? No. No? Okay.
Hello, Nancy Seacrest, Treasurer TS, and I would just like to say that we will definitely welcome donations for the art restoration project. Thank you.
End of this.
I can maybe, add to Nancy. Yes, your support is very important. Supports can take different forms, but throughout the centuries, art existed thanks to generous supports of patrons. And art is a form that helps us to really connect with ourselves, connect with the time. And without the understanding of the patrons, that would never possible. We know the Medici family in Italy. If they didn't exist, what would happen to Renaissance? So we have all these beautiful Renaissance sculptures because that family existed. Of course, in these days, there are different ways of generating funds and support. So anything small can create a big pool, and definitely it will help us to make our work in a better way. There are too many things to take care of. We are really patient. We are full of commitment and compassion. But of course, resources are critical. So please, if you think that anyone around you can be interested in not in this room maybe, please don't hesitate to share. There is something needs to be supported in Adyar. Thank you.
Okay, can we donate money in Indian currency?
I'm looking at absolutely. We encourage, yes. Thank you very much. So our first donation started and the rest will come, I'm confident. Thank you.
So this was a wonderful presentation. Indeed, a heartfelt thank you to Elif for sharing on the many artistic treasures present in Adyar, and also on clarifying to us that Adyar at some point in time has really functioned as a vibrant art center and a haven for artists. So essentially, there was not a word too much in the introduction concerning the vast experience of Elif in the domain of art and its connection with spirituality. More importantly, the mission to prepare art to be entrusted to the coming generations in a responsible way, and to make way for artistic expression in Adyar in the times to come. And next to that, Elif also demonstrated through various examples how art can become a method to connect with and transcend into the inner life. For the artist, bringing forth the art, as well as for those who appreciate it through exhibitions and collections. And indeed, as was said, for those who plan to go to Adyar, it is definitely worthwhile to pay a visit to the art project in the headquarter building that has now been revamped into a real atelier, and also to meet, indeed, the resident artists, Christine and Frederick. They're very lovable people. I met them personally last time I was in Adyar, so I can recommend a frank discussion on art and spirituality with them. So there is still a lot to be discovered in Adyar. Thank you all for your attention.